Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sensitive Podcast. I am your host, Kim Kimball, Somatic Leadership Coach for highly sensitive and neurocomplex business owners. Today, I want to talk to you about what becomes possible when you build your business around your blueprint. And something specifically that feels really personal today and really alive for me. And this, that is the story behind my newest offering, the Sustainable Growth Sanctuary, and specifically what makes it different from so many spaces out there for business owners. So, this is a 6-month mastermind for highly sensitive and neurocomplex business owners. And it's the offering that I'm most passionate about that I've ever created. I think it's the most important offering I've ever created. And I want to tell you a little bit about my heart behind why. I don't think I've ever shared about this publicly in this way. So, after 7 years in doctoral training, getting my doctorate in physical therapy, 13 years of clinical work as a physical therapist, I honestly became deeply, deeply disillusioned with the field. In the clinical world, I watched as so many parts of a person's experience were ignored. Emotional stress, trauma, lived history, all of which were clearly affecting a person's pain, their ability to heal. They were treated like they didn't matter. And honestly, in some cases, even mocked, especially if they were pointing to anything that the scientific world considered quote unquote woo. The body's wisdom wasn't just overlooked, it was dismissed, completely dismissed. And obviously, the research now clearly supports what so many of us already intuitively knew, that stress lives in the fascia, our hormonal and nervous systems are shaped by our experiences, that healing is not purely just physical, it is deeply emotional and relational as well. So, when I got really disillusioned with the field, I left. I moved into the coaching world. I thought finally that there would be more room here, that there would be more spaciousness, more integration. And honestly, instead, I saw the same disconnection, just in the reverse. In the coaching spaces, mindset became king, and the body was nowhere in sight. And there was very little recognition of trauma responses, freeze states, fawn, sensory overwhelm, neurocomplex needs, and zero curiosity about why someone might struggle to quote unquote just shift their mindset or think more expansively. And I realized we were still separating the parts, still pretending we can outthink the body, still acting like business happens in a vacuum instead of inside a human being that brings all of their lived experiences with them into their business. So I do not believe in separating the mind, the body, the spirit. I just don't think it's possible. And I think anytime that we try to do that, healing has a very hard time happening. And so for the last 8 years, I've been weaving them together in my coaching practice, supporting over 1,000 clients with a more integrative, compassionate approach, one that honors them as business owners and their nervous systems, their identity, their full experience, their lived experience, the way that they're wired, their neurocomplexity, their sensitivities, etc. And as I worked more deeply with highly sensitive and neurodivergent business owners, I started noticing the same patterns over and over again repeating themselves. Fear of visibility that wasn't about confidence, it was an emotional and sensory overload, or chronic overthinking and analysis paralysis, struggling to recover from criticism, a deep fear of getting it wrong, wanting to be themselves, but unsure how in spaces that felt too fast, too loud, too rigid, or really honestly, if they've been masking their whole lives, not even really knowing who is that, who is being myself if I've been masked for so long. So, most of all, so much self blame. And here's what broke my heart is that so many of these brilliant, thoughtful, deeply caring business owners thought that something was wrong with them for needing more space, more care, more resources, more support, more slowness, more rest, more ability, flexibility to allow their creative flows to ebb and flow, to allow themselves to be in the void, to not necessarily need to be consistent, to allow themselves to the freedom to maybe go as deep as they want to, as nuanced as they want to, instead of trying to narrow themselves down. They'd learn to override their own signals, to mask, to push, to force. And in doing so, the byproduct of that is they really eroded their own self-trust. And in the business world, the solutions being offered, they weren't really solutions. They were strategies that ignored their experience, templates that didn't consider who they really were, environments that pushed for growth at the expense of your well-being, containers that serve the facilitator's success, but not theirs. Communities where you have to explain or translate yourself or contort yourself in order to feel like you belong. And honestly, I got tired of watching people burn out. I got tired of seeing highly sensitive, neurocomplex folks feel like they need to micromanage their energy and they're just getting by at scraps at the end of every single day. I got tired of watching sensitive folks contort themselves just to make it work. So I created the Sustainable Growth Sanctuary as the antidote, a space that puts presence before performance, relationship before result, and care before scale. So here's what this space is. It's designed for the person behind the business, for you, not just the strategy. It's rooted in your nervous system, your cycles, your unique rhythm and way that you are wired. It's built to foster community that feels like an exhale. It helps you to relate to yourself with trust and gentleness, not pressure or perfectionism. And it supports you in growing a business that feels good, not just one that works on paper. And everything we explore inside the sanctuary is grounded inside two core pillars that you may have heard me talk about already. But the first is working with your blueprint. And that means attuning your business to your real energy, capacity, sensory needs, strengths, desires, values, not the ones that you've been told you should have, the ones that you actually have. So this pillar is especially important for highly sensitive and neurodivergent folks because so many of you ought to work in ways that fundamentally do not fit you. And you've internalized systems that weren't made for your nervous system and then blamed yourself when they didn't work. So we start by peeling that back, by noticing where you've been overriding your natural rhythm and beginning to rebuild from a place that actually feels like you. The second pillar is tending to what gets in the way. This includes things like fear of being seen, shame, people pleasing, boundaries, self trust, all of the emotional terrain that comes with being a sensitive person running a business, someone that is very porous, that feels so many things and feels it very deeply. We're not trying to fix those things. We're learning how to work with them. We're learning how to support yourself through them, to support your nervous system, rather than constantly pushing through it or suppressing or bypassing or forcing yourself. And I want to pause here as well to speak to something else that to me is just as important. I know that for me, a long time, I believed I was bad at community and connection, even though it was something I desperately longed for. I always felt like I didn't belong, like I was too much and not enough all at once. So I would kind of force myself into these boxes, trying to fit in and still never feeling fully seen, which only reinforced that belief that I was somehow the problem. But in recent years, especially in spaces that have been designed for neurodivergent and highly sensitive people, I've come to understand something that I wish I'd known much, much earlier. I'm not bad at community. I just relate differently. I crave depth. I process quickly. I want to feel mirrored in my experience and able to move at the speed of my own connection. And I found that when I'm in the right relational space, one that welcomes difference and doesn't ask me to translate myself or make myself smaller, then community becomes deeply healing for me. And the Sustainable Growth Sanctuary is built with that in mind. It's a space where you'll be held by a group that gets it, where your inner world doesn't need an explanation, where being deeply met is the baseline, not the exception. You might walk away not just feeling like you belong, but realizing your way of relating is something to be prized. So let's talk about what's inside. Again, this is a 6-month experience with a small, intimate cohort. Your cohort will be no more than 5 people. And the rhythm is steady but spacious. You will receive 2 group calls each month, a private Telegram space to stay connected between sessions, 3 core frameworks to support your business and your body, asynchronous coaching so you can receive support when it's most accessible for you. There are optional one-on-one coaching add-ons, and you will receive a personalized sustainability check-in to begin our work together, where I'll learn about your needs, your patterns, your current season of life and business, so I can create a personalized plan for our time together. And I'm going to outline the flow of the 6 months together as it follows kind of a natural, gentle arc. So months 1 to 2 are about the foundations and resourcing. We're going to begin with that personalized sustainability plan that I've already mentioned. We will unmask some lesser known neurocomplex traits, explore where you've potentially been boxed in and how to step out, expand your capacity to stay with goodness, and practice resourcing yourself throughout your workday. Months 3 to 4 is about rhythm and range. We are going to define your own healthy and unique, healthy fast and healthy slow, instead of this nervous system regulation that folks talk about now and kind of this one speed of slow and always calm. We're going to define your own healthy range and help you to move throughout the whole thing. We're going to reframe that nervous system regulation, honor your cycles, your seasons, the void of your creative times, and step into aligned action with support, including somatic tools, parts work, and the playground where you can gently practice before you publicly share more widely. Months 5 to 6 are about power, pattern, and recognition. We will be exploring the shadow in leadership and how that shows up specifically for you, recognizing how your attachment styles may be showing up in your business, redefine structure, and really learn what is enough for you. We're going to learn to let our emotions move through you, not control you, make body-led decisions in our businesses, and reconnect with desire, essence, and belonging. This is a steady, supported return to your whole self in your business. Now, one thing that is very different about this container that I want to name is that while many coaching spaces that are designed to support you in your business and you as a leader in your business are built to maximize revenue by minimizing contact, this space was designed for the most contact with me. This is an intimate space. There are only 10 to 12 spots available total. And again, your cohort will be no more than 5 to 6 people total. And I've created it to be very rich with presence and space for integration, not just fire hosing information. This isn't about information. It's about integration. It's about presence. It's about integrated and embodied change. I want every person inside to feel held, to feel like there's enough time, enough space, to feel like their body and their brilliance both belong. So if you've been craving a different kind of a space, one where your needs aren't a problem to fix, where your sensitivity isn't something to override, where your rhythm matters just as much as your strategy, I would love to invite you into the sanctuary. We begin the second week in September, and applications are now open. Early bird applications end on the 15th of August. And I would truly love to read yours. You can find all the details and apply at the link in the show notes. I hope to see you inside the Sustainable Growth Sanctuary.